Wipe right for staying in bed.
Wipe left for 6 feet away.
And try not to catch cabin fever.
All that and more.
You ready to get funky?
Let's do it, but keep your distance.
Super Media Bros.
Well then,
You're a good distance away. I'm good.
same. You're in the corner. You're literally in the corner of the room.
I am.
And I'm in the other corner of the room next to the fucking room that you're in.
That's like 60 feet away.
I know. Just being, 50. I'm not gonna fucking do math. 54
feet extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 131 of the Super Media Bros podcast. I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
And I bet you're tired of us.
We're tired of us.
Yeah. We're tired of a lot of things, but there's some salvation in this tiredness.
And that's another for your reviewing pleasure episode.
Ironically enough.
Because Chromeo decided, hey, we're going to put all these songs out on Facebook. Do you guys want a full EP of our recordings? Like, we're going to say no. The Quarantine Casanova EP from Chromeo, perfection personified. This EP gave a lot of vibes from... mostly there's callbacks to the Fancy Footwork album. And I think it's because of the minimal production. Being that there's not a lot of other hands in, what's going on. It's just these two kind of just getting their ideas out and making them. You definitely get those early 2 album vibes from this.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're going to do, if this is your first time on our For Your Reviewing Pleasure episode, what Cody and I usually do is we take an album or an EP that we really enjoy and we break it down song by song.
There we name highlights, things we don't like about it. We just give like a little rough, how do we like music 101?
Yeah, this is what we like. This is what we don't like. Just fuck off.
And suck it, yeah. So the first song is called Clorox Wipe.
And it was really cool because reading the description on the iTunes store, it was neat because for each song, I'm guessing Dave and P did an interview before this got released because you can see where he's talked about what each song means, why they wrote them. And weirdly enough, there was some kind of excerpt from it where he was talking about how he could be jokingly reinvented as a cleaning supply because then he would feel needed by his partner. Mm-hmm. And it's fucking hilarious.
Now, before we introduce the first song audibly, we want to talk about the artwork for the EP.
Oh, God, yes.
There's every stigma when it comes to the social distancing and the Roni. They call it now the Roni. We'll just call it that now. But yeah, P has the mask on. Dave's sitting on an empty toilet roll. There's a Clorox wipe in the background that's opened up. I mean, there's just like... It's playing fun at that whole idea, basically. And it's all like the hand-drawn, like, sketch look to it, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's all black and white pencil sketch and really neat cover, honestly. But yeah, the first song is called Clorox Wipe. And immediately, it's just wiping everything.
Because as soon as this came out, that's what everybody was doing. Now slow it down.
Yeah. We probably won't play all the ending pieces at the end of some of these, but after, I think just 4 of the songs, there are little outros that have zero to do with the actual composition of what you've just listened to. It's really neat, though.
Yeah, most of their albums, they have at least 1 or 2 songs, maybe 3, that have that same thing where they just tag this like outro and it has nothing to do with the actual song, which, hey, it's just extra music, basically. I'm not complaining.
Same.
Yeah, this one, it brought a lot of vibes back to Fancy Footwork for me, too.
The title track for me. Mm-hmm. The song Fancy Footwork. And it could have easily gone on that album, instrumentally speaking.
That was another thing, too. This EP has all 5 songs, only instrumental as well. If you're like us, who like to pick apart and figure out, you know, where their instruments come from or where their sounds come from or where their influences, whatever, come from. You know, that's a good way to know that, okay, this reminds me of this album, this song, this song, this song. It's also something good to just have in the background if you don't want to listen to the lyrics, which they're goofy and they're comical, which there's nothing wrong with that. I like them regardless. Most people don't.
And it's a good way to have like a serious situation that we are all experiencing right now and just kind of bring it to a comic relief level where you have to find some type of escape and self-isolation, because otherwise the four walls in the house are just going to get to you. And I feel like lyrically, some of this content is exactly that. Is Dave being like, well, let me just write about it like this. So he wrote about being reincarnated as a fucking Clorox wipe just to be closer to his significant other, and it's pretty funny. Moving on. And this is also about, it's a dual thing, because it's not just, you know, lyrically pertaining to being in quarantine or anything or social distancing, but it's also kind of, you want to be with someone, but you can't for whatever reason it is. And the song is called 6 Feet Away. And I think lyrically it falls into that category of like, hey, this can be
one or the other.
Yep. So here's 6 Feet Away.
6 feet away. That's how I'm gonna love you from 6 feet away.
Very catchy.
That's how I'm gonna show you I care from 6 feet away.
Hand claps.
That's how I'm gonna love
It's very,
you from 6 feet away.
very 90s a little,
And I
like
just
sounding.
hope you can hear me out there. I saw you at the grocery store and I couldn't even say hi.
I love this song so much, man. That's the vibe you get the whole way through. It's that upbeat yet relaxing kind of sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that was probably something that could have gone on business casual as well as fancy footwork, in my opinion.
There's some elements of the later albums in here as well that we picked up, but this is business casual sounding. It's like a hodgepodge of pretty much the whole album in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of like if Chromeo were like, here's our greatest hits, but these are new songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really weird way to describe it, but it's also very fucking accurate.
It's like nostalgia, but fresh nostalgia.
I like this one.
It kind of has like a sad tone to it. It's like you have the flip side of the coin, basically scenario. You have, yeah, there's a situation going on in the world, but also it's like if this song came out before or after all this blows over, it would fit in like a, you know, love situation.
Yeah, and I think for the next track, Stay in Bed and Do Nothing, I really feel like this one could have done that same vibe. This one's kind of like about your comfort zone. You know what I mean? Like staying inside of your comfort zone.
This is like kind of like the introvert song, which is perfect for me.
Stay in bed and do nothing.
Cause your recipe won't rescue me. Your workout plan is stressing me.
And you had pointed out it has like that Janet Jackson like piece to it here and there.
Yeah, that little that reminds me of what is it? The Velvet Rope. I couldn't think of the name of the album. It came out in 1997, I think, or something. And then that little keyboard lead right there is very like 1994, 1997, like West Coast hip hop kind of vibe to it. Because that was some kind of shit that I would hear on Tupac music and Dr.
Yeah, like all the
Dr. Dre
90s
shit.
like hip hop, yeah, and rap.
I love that shit so much. And again, this album is fresh as fuck, but it's absolutely a nostalgic masterpiece at the same time. This next song is called Roni Got Me Stressed Out, which this is absolutely, I think, the most straightforward on this album. There's a lyric in here about, will we not get to tour until 2029?
It's a possibility. I don't know how strong of a possibility, but, you know, it's a fear at least.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of outwardly talking about the fears that come to mind when it comes to this stuff. And it could be applied in other areas of your life as well. So, I mean, it's subjective as far as like what it's pertaining to.
If you really think about it, the Roni came from Tenderoni, which, you know, that's just saying like your boo thing or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, the Roni got me stressed out.
Another dual-edged sword.
Yeah. So take it how you want.
Because Roni's got me stressed out. I think I need some help.
And this one has a lot of business casual in it, and also just friends from Head Over Heels. I had to think about it for a second.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is probably my favorite song of the whole album because it's two great albums mixed into one.
This one has a lot of those 70s vibes to it. It's probably my second favorite on this album. Right there with you on that one. This EP is only 5 songs long. We know it's kind of a quick one, but I mean...
We're always quick.
I'm thinking about that picture meme of that kid where he's like, you know what I'm talking about?
It's like, dude, that was funny.
Yeah, we're always like, like that guffaw laugh, like,
Good thing we're 60 feet away.
right.
We're spitting all over each other.
Oh, God.
Gotta wipe down these screens.
Gonna wipe everything down in this fucking room.
This microphone I'm wiping, and this screen I'm wiping, and this arm that I'm wiping.
And my butt, I am wiping. Yeah.
All the sweat on my forehead I'm wiping.
Just went there.
We have to have an ass joke every episode.
Because we are always the butt of the joke.
Ha ha.
The last song on the EP is called Cabin Fever. And if you don't get what that means, then holy shit. This is absolutely everything to do with being closed off from everything for a long time. And it could also be like, well, I'm depressed. Maybe he went through a breakup. Maybe you can't see somebody or haven't seen somebody for a long time. And, you know, metaphorically speaking, you're getting cabin fever because you haven't been around the things that make you feel normal or what have you.
Definitely the slower track of the group, too.
Yeah.
Well, can't you tell? This is my idea of hell now. I can't sleep and I can't sit still. It's like I'm under a spell.
I like when he
now.
sings
I
real
wish I
soft
could
like
spell
that.
it out. I wish I could yell it out. I wish I could let it out. I wish they would let me out.
And I've noticed this a lot on Chromeo's albums too. The bass. There's a lot of tracks where they cool Daft Punk vibes right here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of songs that they do where every once in a while P will grab a physical Fender P bass, which no pun intended, or jazz bass, because instead of using like a synthesized bass or a keyboard bass, that's what they go for. And I always like that you can tell because he has like the same consistent tone on every fucking song that he plays it, and it's so cool. Bass lines like that, especially in, you know, chilled out like funk music, just give me all of it.
Yeah, it brings me back to when I saw them live. Like, they had 2 setups. They had their synthesizer keyboard setups in the back, and then they each had their own guitar or bass or whatever in front of the keyboards. So when one had a solo or a single part of the song they would play on one instrument, they would swap out. So, I mean, yeah, just... these guys are fucking talented. Like, they just know, like, okay, I just feel like playing this string instrument right now because it just fits this type of mood right now, rather than playing the same consistent, like, loop in a way.
Yeah, and the fact that it's just 2 people that can pull this shit off live is amazing and very talented. They did a tour with a full band, which I would have loved to have caught that. And then, I think it was like 2007, they toured with one drummer. It was just P, Dave, and a drummer. But yeah, just the 2 of them being able to pull this stuff off is fantastic, and it's good shit.
The consistency is always spot on.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole album.
Yeah, like I said earlier, the other half is the rest of the songs on here, but just no lyrics. It's all instrumental, so you can play whichever version you want, whatever appeals to you.
Yeah, and honestly, even though like I had seen posts about them asking the fans if they want this actually released as a full-blown EP, it was still a nice surprise to see get released. Because, strangely enough, there was some comfort in being like, oh, I really like this band. They just put an album out, 2 years ago? And they're usually about 4 years between each album. So we've been waiting for more Chromeo for a little while. Just to get like this EP was really fun. There's really not a terrible song on this album.
We have like our favorites, and we don't call them like the worst songs. They're good. I mean, we talk about this every episode we do these things, but we like the song, but not as much as the other songs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's funny. I have a hard time picking the weakest one because like 6 Feet Away and Stay in Bed are my 2 favorites on this one. But more so 6 Feet Away, and I think I'm just a sucker for hooks, like because it opens with that chorus and it's a lot of fun. But Stay in Bed has just that fucking awesome 90s vibe to it, and I'm drawn to that one so much. And I don't even know like necessarily what I would think the weaker of the 5 on this one is.
They're not weak at all in any aspect because they bring different elements that stand out amongst the rest of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Ronnie's Got Me Stressed Out is by far my favorite because it's so audibly compelling to me, and it reminds me of Business Casual, like the later half of the album with the string parts, basically. It's so nostalgic for me. Clorox Wipe's obviously the goofy one. It's like the comical Bonafide Lovin' or Fancy Footwork kind of feel to it. 6 Feet Away is the more kind of just that sensual, like, you know, I really want this emotion to come out, basically.
Yeah.
Cabin Fever it's kind of like if you did the what was that series they did with Daryl
From Hall & Oates?
Yeah.
Inside Daryl's House.
Yeah. It's a song that kind of sounds like he just picked up his guitar and his keyboard and just like, let me do like a audio video like session real quick, because I just feel like doing it. It just feels raw. It feels like spontaneous, and it still came out good.
Yeah, let's play something and see what comes out.
Yeah. Stay in Bed, like you said, it has that 90s hip hop punch to it. It makes you bounce. Like, it doesn't,
Yes.
It's a slow song, but it gets you bobbing enough to like get into the song. Like, it didn't even have to have the hooks and the lyrics to get you involved. Like, just the actual like instrumental part gets you going.
It's that California funk, dude.
Yeah, it's really good. So honestly, there is no weaker one of the group because they all have their strengths to them that push them pretty much like equal going forward. Ronnie's Got Me Stressed Out, definitely my favorite because it's just so many different reasons.
Yeah, like I said, 6 Feet Away and Stay in Bed are my favorites on this one. And again, it's all subjective. These three may not be your favorite. Clorox Wipe might be your favorite. Cabin Fever. Yeah, might be your favorite.
Or none of them are your favorite. They're all your favorite.
Yeah, exactly. But Chromeo are one of our favorites, honestly.
Yeah.
We'll probably always take an opportunity to talk about them.
Yeah, because I found out around the same time that this came out that they had a song last year with Max called Checklist. Even though they sang very little, it was mostly P, I think, doing his little voice box. But yeah, it's a good song. You should definitely check that one out too.
And we'll have links in the show notes below to be able to go stream this album, download it, whatever you want to do. You could do nothing.
Stay in bed and do nothing.
That's right. You can stay in bed and do nothing but download this album and just listen to it.
Put it on repeat.
And do nothing.
Let all your frustrations from the situation just play through this music.
And your PlayStation. That was just so that would rhyme. I'm going to shut up now.
Now go stay in bed and do nothing.
That's it. So check us out on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those places. Subscribe to YouTube. Buy some merch. Got some new shit in the stove. You're staying in bed and doing nothing anyway, so just buy it.
But if you have to go out into the world, the scary world, we have face masks.
Yeah. You can wear a tank top and a face mask and feel fucking awesome.
Feeling fresh and protected.
Yeah. And donate to us on Patreon. You can do the $2 Shades On tier where you love us enough to throw us $2 a month. Or you can do the We're Off tier where you love us enough to toss us $5 a month. And then you get access to bonus episodes and some exclusive swag whenever it comes in.
Sterilized, of course. We're not going to lick it and cough on it. And just like, hey, yeah, I have the Super Media Brothers spit.
The Spitty Media Bros.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And speaking of that Patreon episode, we're going to go record that motherfucker right now so we can get it out. Don't you wish you were on the fucking We're Off tier listening to it?
Yeah, we're going to sell this as much as we can. Hey, this episode we're about to record next, you can't listen to it unless you actually donate. And it's awesome. It has a bunch of laughing and stupid jokes, more than what we already do. We're more stupid than we are now.
This is very true. And we usually do things that we don't feature on the regular releases. So
yeah, we have like a ton of ideas listed out on like what to talk about or what to do. And we're not telling any of y'all because we want you to find out for yourselves. So go to Patreon and say, hey, give my $5 to them too. $2.50 a piece.
About $2.50.
$2.50. And let me listen to that nice swag.
And then listen to it as it rolls out. So that's what we're just going to leave you with.
Patreon.
That's it. Patreon. All over the place.
Patreon.
That was episode 131. Chromeo, Quarantine Casanova EP. Until next week, I've been Midnight Agent Raw.
Patreon.
Shades on?
Patreon.
Oh, okay, cool.
Patreon.